Or the YouTube or the YouTube started.
We are on YouTube.
I like the look on your face. You're like,
Are we? so guys, just bear with us. If you're signing in onto the YouTubes right now, we've been streaming live on Facebook, and
we've had success with not being kicked off, so now we're going to take it a step further.
Yeah, we're going to try to do the YouTube and Facebook live, and see if we can do both at the same time. So right now I am just getting the Facebooks all set up, and then we'll start. So I apologize for this little interruption before we even begin.
Dun dun dun.
Okay, I think it's hard to hear, but I think it's right.
Are we on the Facebooks?
Not yet.
Okay.
It'd be too simple.
Oh, it would be.
No, but we're about to.
Okay.
Okay. I think we're streaming on both.
Woohoo!
All right, guys.
What's up, Facebook?
Hello. So, welcome everyone. Tonight is the Art of Star Trek.
Yep.
And we're trying a thing, so we'll see if this works. The last two streams we've been really lucky, and we haven't gotten kicked off or anything.
Yes.
But this time we're also streaming on YouTube. We used to stream on YouTube all the time, and then, but we have like 1,000 people on YouTube, and then we have something like 20-something thousand on Facebook. So,
yeah, and
it's really focused on the Facebook.
Yeah, and it seems like the comments come more. We get more comments on Facebook, on your personal Facebook. So what we like to do is stay over there with the comments, and then hopefully grab them later on from other places.
That's true. So we do it on the personal Facebook quite a bit, and plus the art page, and then YouTube. But also though, after all this, we'll take all the videos and we'll post them everywhere. But I also want to say it's World Autism Awareness Day. So
yes.
I'm wearing a blue shirt. Mr. Spock up here, he's wearing a blue shirt.
And I'm wearing a blue shirt. I'm wearing a Star Trek blue shirt.
Ooh, it's
original series.
That's brilliant.
Yep.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to actually take off my blue shirt in a little.
Are you getting hot under there?
No, but I'm gonna start painting and.
You don't want to.
Yeah, I have so few shirts that don't have paint on them that I have to cherish them and be so careful with them. But Jackie's gonna keep her blue shirt on. And Mr. Spock's going to keep his blue shirt on for solidarity.
Yes.
Well, I assume.
Yeah, I'm going to keep my shirt on.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I'm not Diana Ross. I'm not going to do a costume change mid-show.
Just think
could be interesting, but I'm not going to do. So.
Oh, my word.
Anyway, so let's before we jump into the Star Trek, let's talk about what is on your easel. And keep in mind, you've got Spock right there.
Oh, he's making sure that everything stays fascinating.
Okay.
And logical.
Logical. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So here, let me show you the easel. So what this is, and here, let me give you an idea. It's a 3-foot by 3-foot painting. Let me put my hand up. Actually, I'm putting my hand kind of in wet paint. So
oh, nice.
There's that. So I don't know if you can hear that, but it's kind of sticky. So this is. Oh
there goes the shirt.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yes. See, that's why I don't have clean clothes. Without paint on the blues. That made me completely forget what I was. So what this is going to be is a music painting. I've got the electric guitar in this lady's face, and her hair is getting all wild and crazy. And what I'm doing right now is I'm actually it's going to be sort of a blocking in the color, but instead of just doing solid blocking, I'm actually letting the paint go a little bit wild, and that's going to be the underpainting. So instead of making the underpainting something that's completely logical and very blocky, I'm going to let the paints kind of swirl together and stuff. That's sort of the way music and hair does.
Oh, yes. One thing I noticed when you were doing it last night, we shot some behind the scenes and uploaded it to our patrons on Patreon, but one thing I noticed last night while you were doing that is, I don't know if it was strategic or luck, but when you would blow the paint, it didn't go across the guitar.
Oh, yeah, I tried. Well, there's some places where it kind of did. And it's okay if it does, but I wanted to leave it a little bit. I want to have some. I didn't want it to go quite all the way.
Yeah.
Because I want to add some white paint and different things towards the end of it a little bit, and have it so that you can see the background a little bit.
Nice.
So that's gonna kind of
look at you knowing what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, let's hope. I
let's
don't know.
hope.
But you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and take off this blue shirt.
All right, we should start some music. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
Do a little wiggle.
Okay. So.
Oh no.
Oh gosh, I just hit the camera.
Everything's crazy now. Cameras have been bumped.
Okay. So anyway, I have the shirt over there. Totally still stoked that it's Autism Awareness Day, but yeah. But
you're aware now. Now we're moving on. Is that the deal?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then I'm gonna, and I did a blue painting, so it's all drawn in blue instead of black. So that's nice. So
nice.
Although the symbol for Autism Awareness Day is a blue
puzzle piece.
Mm-hmm, so I thought about doing something like that, but I didn't. It doesn't really work.
You wore the color.
But Star Trek. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
This is really exciting, and it's and we want to talk about the art of a bunch of different things, not necessarily just painting or our art or what's going on, but also just art in general, like the best parts of different things or the ideas behind different things, and we both like Star Trek.
We're nerds. Yeah, we like Star Trek. We're fans. And it's funny because this subject matter is so massive that I was all over the place, and John was kind of reining me in. He was like, all right. Maybe we should just concentrate on this or whatever. Because I was like, we got the Enterprise, we got the decals in the Enterprise, we got the screens, we could talk about crazy.
Was she a little crazy spot?
And then and then you got the fan art, which is actually turned out to be like some of the coolest stuff. And then I didn't even think of this until one of our friends that was watching last show, Jeff Wells, he said, you need to talk about the art that Data creates in the show. And I was like, oh, that's brilliant. So we will touch on that, but John reined me in.
Yeah.
So, we'll just go over some fun things.
Yeah. In fact, let's hold it. Let's start with some fun things. How about
yes. Okay, so we got some Star Trek memes that are appropriate for the time. This is the why aren't there handles on the doors anymore? And Picard's like, Wesley, it's time I tell you about the year 2020. That's fitting. Very fitting.
Nice.
If you're on the Star Trek forums, that comes across quite a bit.
Does it really?
It is all over the place. And just like that, replicator research becomes a top priority. It's toilet paper. That's awesome. Social distancing, because the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Oh, but of course.
Yeah, which is funny because there's the whole thing about Spock's, his what do you call it? His symbol that he holds up. His way of saying hello is the new thing. You should do it.
I can't quite do it. I can almost like on the camera, it may look good, but if you look at it from the,
it doesn't look good. You got to work on that.
I was hoping at least I could find an angle I could trick people thinking
no, we're gonna have to tape your fingers.
I know.
That's what's his name? The actor that did the J.J. Abrams, the Kelvin movies. He had to tape his fingers. Anyway, he couldn't do it. Anyway, so yeah, we're talking about Star Trek, and we felt like we should prove that we like Star Trek. We know some things about Star Trek.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So
we need to prove our street cred or our space cred.
Our space cred.
We're actually. So
okay. So just to give you guys some history here, John and I got married in Vegas. It was brilliant. And we had
I was a dancer and she was a gambler. And it was a whirlwind relationship.
I worked the tables. But anyway, so we had a wedding, a Star Trek wedding, when they had the Hilton there and they had the Star Trek experience. This is in 2007, so it was still there.
And it was so cool.
And it was brilliant because the look on my mother-in-law's face when the Klingon woman came around was enough to just make the day perfect.
That was my mom, and she was so funny. Kapla. She was like,
yeah, and the Ferengi telling I guess you that it wasn't a financial logical thing to do to marry me or something like that. It was funny. We were at the bar and he was like, "That's financially not logical." I don't know, something like that. It was too funny.
But then he did try to purchase you with quite a few strips of
Latinum. Yes, he did. But it was awesome. Everybody stayed in character at that place. It was just a blast. I wish it was still there, but it's not.
Yeah, but it was so cool though, because like the wedding was a normal sort of wedding, but it was a reception that was all like Star Trek, and and it's Vegas. We just wanted everyone to have fun.
Yeah, Vegas is a brilliant place to have a wedding. Brilliant.
Especially a lot of Jackie's family is from New York, California.
Yeah,
and so everybody was having to fly in anyway.
Yeah,
and then so we had about 30 people there.
It was great. It was great.
Let's
So, okay, because we can't go back to the Hilton experience, John and I, for our 10-year anniversary, decided to go to the Star Trek convention that they have in Vegas every year. That's the massive one. And the funny thing about this photo, this is just, I love this photo, is that one of, you buy these picture scenes, you can go and you pay $50 and you can take a picture in like the actual set of something. This is the original, Enterprise set. And when we were in line, we always have Eagle with us, or we always have a guide dog with us. And so when we were in line, we joked with the people there that were corralling everybody. We joked saying, can we have Eagle be the captain? And they were like, sure. And we were like, oh, this is going to be brilliant. So that's Eagle captaining the Enterprise, and us probably crashing it.
Yeah, and it works. It works too, because out of all three of us, she's the only one that's calm. She's like back there.
This is true.
Make it so, and we're
unless there's loud noises, then she freaks out, and then
that's true.
We're all
if a mic pops, then she's out.
She's out. Can't have any mics on the deck.
Oh, here comes Chip through the studio door.
Anyway, this is this when we went to the convention, and it was a blast. It was an absolute blast. I want to do it again whenever we are allowed to get in groups.
Yeah. Whenever that happens.
Whenever.
This is true. That was so much fun.
So what do you got next on there?
Let's see. I honestly I can't remember.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. So this is getting into the actual art.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So this is getting into the art. So but I want to prove our street cred a little bit more. Can you have some ink on you?
Oh, I have Star Trek tattoos. Yes, I also have Star Wars tattoos. So I'm kind of an anomaly in that sense, and people will probably think that's blasphemy, but I like it all. So yeah, I have a Star Trek tattoo on my forearm. It says "Boldly Go," and anyway. So it's crazy.
That's our space cred for talking about this, but
our space credentials.
One of the great things about Star Trek, though, is that it's just a completely made up universe, and it's science fiction. Where Star Trek is more fantasy. No.
The other Star Wars is more fantasy.
Yeah, what did I say?
You said Star Trek is more fantasy.
Did I?
Yeah.
Gosh. Okay. Yeah. Star Trek. I was thinking it right. I swear. But
yes, you're correct.
Yes.
Star Wars is fantasy.
Yeah, but it's really interesting though, because it's just a made up universe. So the entire thing is art. It's all ideas, and it's a core of ideas that of what a future could be like, and so many ideas are dark, and it's a negative sort of thing. And in college, I took a class on science fiction where we read all the old classics. We read so many books, and I love science fiction anyway. And the professor, she said, call it SF, so it's not, but I don't know, science fiction. It's fine with me. But all science fiction is really it's satire, and you got A Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. Always want to call him Adolphus, but anyway. George Orwell's 1984, that takes us into this bleak, the far-flung future of 1984.
Yeah.
And, but it's interesting that you've got Star Trek, and Star Trek's been going on for so long that it's a satire of the age that it's in. Like, you've got the original Captain Kirk in the 60s, and you have aliens that come on and they're playing bongos and whatnot, and it's very different. It's very, the set's very, like, you can tell it's from the 60s.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I'm sure, and some other people out there, finished the Picard series, which I don't want to give any spoilers. Not going to say anything.
Thursday that is new episodes not coming out. Are you doing okay? Are you making it?
A little upset. But anyway, it's funny because right after that we watched the waiting room, which is Will Wheaton does this thing, where he interviews the cast and they talk about the episode. So there's spoilers all up in that. But they talk, and this last one, they talked about how science fiction always relates back to like the time that it's happening in. And I never really thought about that, but now that I think about it, I almost can't think of a sci-fi story that doesn't make some subtleties to the time it's being made in, if it's like some sort of commentary on, authority or anything like that. But anyway, the afterwards show, Will Wheaton's Waiting Room, it's pretty good. It was interesting.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it even like Blade Runner. I mean, you get all these shows, and it's really about the society that we're living in.
Yeah.
And then you see Star Trek, where the old show was really the 60s, and then you get the Next Generation, which was the later 80s or early 90s. And it's very much that, and it's more of Gene Roddenberry's initial sort of feeling on it. So you start getting this completely different Captain Picard, where it's not like, I just want to fight everything. It's a whole different, it's a time where the world is coming out of the Cold War and all this sort of stuff, where maybe people can get along, we can talk, we don't have to go to war all the time. And then you have the Picard, where it's very different, which is kind of cool because it's the same actor. But then
you're questioning authority, and you can see that they have flaws. It's not just this Roddenberryan understanding of a perfect sort of society. So it's
like an artistic standpoint, it's really interesting to see how things change with all that. You can see it with Doctor Who and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
too.
especially this Doctor Who, and
then also what's kind of cool with Star Trek too is the cutting board. We should have brought that in here.
Oh yeah.
One of the cool things about Star Trek is that it's set in our own timeline. Well, for the most part, until they went to the Kelvin thing. But then, gosh, I sound like a huge nerd. But
like we didn't already know this.
Yeah, if you didn't know that. But the neat thing though is that it starts with history, like back with sailing ships and all that, and then like at the museum that we went to, where, it's space history. It's talking about Apollo, all this stuff, and then suddenly you're in the future with all this made up Star Trek.
Yeah, it ties it. Yeah, it's brilliant. That was awesome.
But the wonderful thing about it is that it's all art. Like the ship design, the everything is just art. It's just artists putting this stuff together, coming up with all different things. Which I know you're going to talk about the language. We're going to talk about all these different things, and I don't know. It's pretty cool. I'm wondering, you've got a photo over there. Do you want to talk about it?
So let me say really fast. We have a bunch of people joining us. Thanks for joining us. Sean Keane says hi. My mom joins us, says love you guys. And also says the bobblehead is shaking. It looks like he is disagreeing with everything you say. And Butch Massa says watching you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, so we have. Well, I'll show that a little bit later. But so John pulled this. What's funny is that this has actually been in our bedroom for a long time because we were changing some art around. We have so much art on the walls, it's crazy. So we move things around periodically. But we have an original signed by the cast, original series thing.
I was tricked into that, I must say, but it's signed by everybody. Like
it's signed by everybody.
Gene Roddenberry.
Yeah,
but we were doing. I do a lot of speaking events, and I was doing one somewhere, and they had a silent auction, and one of the things they had in the silent auction was that photo that had been signed by everybody.
Yeah,
and amazingly enough, no one else was bidding on it.
I mean, what's wrong with people?
I don't know, and Jackie looked at it, and it had Gene Roddenberry. Everybody had signed it, and so she went online and looked at eBay and things to see what it was worth, and it was worth way more than what we were going to be able to get it for. It looked like, and so she was like, "Hey, we should buy this, and then we could sell it later." I thought, that's a great idea. Let's do that, and then so she bids on it. She comes back to the table, and I'm sitting at the table, and then I look over at her, and I'm like, "You're not going to sell that, are you?" She's like, "Heck no, I'm not going to sell it. Are you crazy?" Yeah,
I know. I could see like his dreams of a hot tub just going away in that moment. But I was like, "My name's already on the piece of paper. We have to do it."
And then there's
charity.
And there's the time where she's deliberating, like what picture should go over the mantle. Should it be like our wedding picture, or should it be the Star Trek picture? And then I'm like, that's a good. She's really
thinking about it. Yeah. I mean, it's anyway. So, Shane Bevel joined us. Says, "Good to see you guys."
Hey.
And my mom said we were at the ACT gala when that
Oh, was it the ACC?
Yes. So it was a charity for my mom's center that she used to run.
Well, they have great taste, I must
Yes.
say. I mean,
in fact, I think my mom planned that because she knew I couldn't resist. So she was like, "This is a shoe in."
well, she's a smart lady. I wouldn't put it past her.
So, yes. So there's no shortage of Star Trek paraphernalia around the house, and there's no shortage of Star Wars, stuff around the house. In fact, I was looking for a bunch of Star Trek stuff, and I had to like push aside all the Star Wars stuff as well. So it's a little it's a little nuts, but whatever. It's what we like.
Yeah, it's it's funny. It's like with we live as creatives, we're artists, and then and we and it's fun though to be able to go like to these fantasy sort of realms, like with a Harry Potter or the Hobbits or zombies. I mean, whatever. It's just fun. It makes for interesting.
We should do a show that's just like our wacky art collection. Not your art, because we got that everywhere.
Yeah.
But like other people's art that we.
Oh yeah.
Because like we just have some incredible art around the house from other artists that
we really do.
Yeah,
really.
I just love. We should definitely do something about that.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And some of my favorite art is by Andy.
Andy and we have no shortage of that. That's
oh my goodness.
Some cool. We always get comments because that's in the bar room, so we always get comments like immediately when people are over. They're like, "Did you do that? That's really cool." And we're like, "No, John didn't do that."
Yeah, Dan.
Yeah, and Dan's. Yep.
Dan Black and oh my goodness, it's
Henry.
Really cool. And he's a local artist in Denton that does murals.
Yeah, Dan. Yeah.
And it's just incredible. So we get lots of compliments of that. And Gary Simmons. But anyway, I know we're getting off topic.
Yes. Okay. So let's talk about some of the art on the set, on like what went into Star Trek. So what's funny about us trying to do this show was that immediately when John suggested it, I was like, oh, when we went to the convention, like, it's so nerdy, but there's sessions that you go to. And so one of the sessions was the art of the Enterprise, like the creating of the Enterprise and all the shuttles and everything. It was just amazing. So anyway, what you're seeing now on the screen are sketches by the original designer of the Enterprise. His name was Matt Jeffries, and his background was in aviation. He actually flew, I think, B-17s and B-25s in World War II. But he could draw really well, and so a lot of his career was doing all these posters and this different art design for advertisements and everything. And then he moved to Hollywood and he started working on different shows. And anyway, so got contacted by Roddenberry's team and said, "Hey, we want to do the show." And it was funny because the only thing that Roddenberry said was, "I just have a list of don'ts." He was like, "Don't do flames, fins, or rockets." He wanted it to be its own ship, recognizable, and it needed to look like it had a lot of power. So, anyway, so when Matt Jeffries was doing this, he was like, "Well, warp drive, what does that even mean? It sounds like it's got to be super powerful, so you don't want the hole near the engines and all this sort of stuff." And anyway, so he comes up with this ship. He went through obviously like numerous different renditions. The one with the sphere was kind of where he was like really thinking it would go. He wanted to stay away from the saucer, and then eventually, of course, he lands on the saucer. And so anyway, that's kind of how you have it.
Well,
what's funny is I think when he designed this, he used dowel rods for the engines on the back, and when he held it up like the little model, the dowel rods were heavy, so the whole thing flipped over accidentally. And I think TV Guide ran a picture of the Enterprise upside down for when the show was going to first air, and they had to correct that, which was I searched everywhere for that image, but I couldn't find it.
Oh my goodness, man! Well, that is so cool though.
So, on the comments really fast, Laura Hamilton says, "Awesome to see you guys." Linda Emerton says, "Good idea." It's about the art of our collection. And Shin said, "Love to see them." And Gina joined us and says, "Hi, I still look at and love my print of your artwork. I bought a few years back. It's the girl with glasses with a screaming face in the reflection."
Oh, well, thank you.
With all that's a painting of me. And with all of us being cooped up, I decided to paint for a while myself the other night. That's awesome. I don't don't hesitate to share. Send an email. We'll love to see it. That's so cool. I can describe it to John.
That would be cool.
Sean Keene says, are both of you artists? And Brooke says, hello, hi dorks, love you. Love you.
Hey, Brooke.
Are both of us artists? Sure. Well, you're an artist.
Huh?
You're an artist.
Oh yeah. Well, Bernie, yeah. Jackie went to school for art photography and for journalistic photography, and then later you went back and you got your master's in design. You don't really paint, like you're not
No.
that sort of artist. I mean, she can, when she wants, but you don't really.
No.
You don't. Like, whenever we first met, she did like 4 paintings, and that was
That's
like
how I got him.
time. Yeah, it was really cool. And
I was painting at the time.
that was like that was like 17 years ago, and that was like the last paintings you did almost. Really.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
And then you've done some drawings and stuff. But
Yeah, I mean, we're both artists. It's just different styles.
yeah,
of things
exactly,
we do,
and that's kind of
so.
cool because I don't know anything about photography. It's in graphic design, which you do really well.
Thanks.
Jackie's designed like websites. She's been a director for the journalism department at the university. She did that for years and has done all these different things.
Working for the man.
Yeah.
So, Doris joined us and says, hello, guys.
Well, hey.
So, hello, and you should stick around because part of our fan art includes some of Casey's work.
Oh.
Anyway, let's move on. Okay, so this is some script. On the left is Vulcan script. And if you're a nerd like us, this is clearly recognizable. And on the right is some Klingon script. And the reason why I threw this up there is because this is another one of those sessions that I sat in on where they talked about all the reasonings behind how they design things. And this was probably one of my favorites because they talked about how they deliberately designed the Vulcan script to look like it was logical and musical, and whereas like the Klingon script was harsh edged and almost looked like weaponry. Oh, I mean, so it just they went on and on about different things and other languages and all that sort of stuff. But I was like geeking out hardcore on this stuff. That was a lot of fun.
Man, well that's that's cool. I don't know what the languages look like. Even though I saw like the original series and then I saw Next Generation, it wasn't it wasn't really part of that.
Well, and what's funny is the Vulcan stuff. The Vulcan script is the one you see everybody get live long and prosper. Everybody gets that tattooed on you. A lot of people
really?
get it. Yeah. Hopefully you get it correctly done. But yes.
Well, I must say, it was at this point in the show that I realized that not only was I a huge nerd, but that I was married to, in fact, an even bigger nerd.
Whatever, dork. You're a nerd. for planning that, for sticking that in. You're the big nerd.
Maybe that's why we get along.
Anyway. All right, so do you want to throw up the next thing?
Oh, sure, I can do that. I can do that. So, over here, I thought one of these nights or things, I want to do a tech thing about, what it is, what the computer does for me. And
oh, yeah, you should definitely do that. I bet a lot of people are wondering how, because I'll be honest with everybody out there, John does like all this. Like I just come in, I mean, I have papers and I kind of know what we're talking about.
I've cut off everything now.
See, now it's out of control.
Yeah.
But anyway, John does all this. Like he controls the switcher.
Happens right when we're talking about how great it is.
So,
well, it's the power of screen readers and stuff. Like only 12% of blind people even use Braille much anymore. It's kind of cool what's out there.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. That would be a good one. That'd be a good one to just be out there for a kind of PSA for everything.
Yeah, and I think that's like the PSA would be really good because a lot of times I think people, when it comes to I have a little Bluetooth in my ear, that's why I'm listening, but like for jobs and for businesses and stuff, like a lot of times I think people don't even think about a person with a visual impairment when actually the new screen readers and things that we have now, a lot of times a blind person can use a computer faster than a sighted person.
Yeah.
Because you're not having to use all these sort of weird things to get around. It's I don't know.
We'll
talk about this.
Yeah. Okay. What's funny? Hold on a second. So Brooke chimed in and said, "Jackie, I guess you decided on this topic," which I don't think I did. I think it was your idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I embraced it fully. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's true. Because I come up with lots of ideas, and you're like,
you do come up with a lot. He's an idea person. So, and then Jeff Walls says, I don't remember who said this, but one of the producers said once that the Klingon language was supposed to be 95% made up of one-syllable words. That's really interesting. You know what's funny also is that if you look at the Klingon script, it looks quite a bit like Tibetan script.
Really?
Which is interesting. So, but I didn't dive into that. But it's funny that, so Jeff joins us, and he's the one that came up with the whole, like, you should show Data's art, which I thought was brilliant. And that's what, if you want to go to next, that's where we're at. So so in the course of Star Trek, The Next Generation, Data, if you're not familiar with this, is an android.
He's a person. Come on.
He's a robotic version of Pinocchio. He basically wants to be human.
Good way to put it.
And so throughout the show, he's doing all these sort of artistic endeavors like acting and music and painting. And so there's a whole Reddit on every painting he's done, which, thank you, Jeff. I found this and screenshot every one of them. And that's when John reeled me in and was like, we're not showing every painting Data ever did. Wow. Unfortunately, if you want me to share it with you, I will. So anyway, it's because we could a whole episode. Anyways, but this one is, I just love this painting. It's of his cat Spot, and it's very Picasso-esque. And this one was at an auction. It went for $7,000. It was it wasn't like what's funny is like some of his paintings are on like Christie's. They're auctioned off of Christie's, but this one I think was like a prop auction. It wasn't through like an auction house. It was something else, but it went for $7,000.
But how cool is that though? In that, because we're talking about Star Trek as art, so this is like something in a made up universe that doesn't really exist. But then the artwork is being sold in our universe, and our,
yeah, it's so meta.
I know, it is very meta. It's like
it's ridiculous. But what's funny is Brent Spiner, the actor that did Data, didn't do any of these paintings. I don't know if he can paint, but so I tried to find out who did the paintings, and it's of course just different people that worked on the creative end of the props set. So I'd list their names, but there's like 10 of them or something. But it was interesting. It was looking into his paintings. The problem with it, though, is it's like you had to grab screenshots of the paintings, so it's all like low res. And anyway, but
I wonder because that's really interesting about how it's these people that work on the set that are actually making the artwork.
Yeah.
I wonder if you want to share your trouble over there.
Oh, okay. So this is another dorky thing from like when we went to the convention. There, the most fun part of the convention is going into like the vendors hall and spending your entire life savings.
Well, that part's not
fun. You're like, I don't want to think about it. So we came across these tribbles that were outfitted in Borg parts.
Borg tribbles.
Borg tribbles. This never appeared on the show. There was never an episode where tribbles became Borgs. So when I saw this, I was like, oh my God. I mean, we passed that table like 10 times, and I was like, I gotta get it. I gotta get it. Yeah. So we finally talked to the dude, and that had him. He had probably like 5. I'm sure he had a million of them, but he worked props on, or he was a set designer, I think, on the show.
A prop guy, I think. Like they worked on the ships and stuff, making the models.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Because he made the Borg models. That's right. And anyway, so he said as a gag for Christmas, he made the entire cast these Borg tribbles, and that was their gift for Christmas. And so obviously, you're working. So he brings the concept to the convention, and I'm sure he sold out of them because. Oh my goodness. I thought they were brilliant.
But it's so cool, though, because it's just creatives. It's just people that just make things, that come up with ideas. They make their own art, so you take the tribble from the 1960s, and then they work that into an episode in the 80s, and then this guy's just having fun with it. I don't know. I just think that's super, super cool.
Yeah. So, what else you got over there?
Let's see.
Oh, okay. So now we're into fan art. Well, okay. So if Doris is still watching, this is paintings done by my niece, which I think this speaks to how how Star Trek spans the generations, because she's young and brilliant artist, obviously, but Data's her favorite, like mine, and she's been painting the cast. And the other night, like last night or something, she posted the LaForge one, and I was like, I want it. How much is it? And she's like, it's already sold. I'm like, oh my gosh, what business model you got going on over there? Because I want to know.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is hers, and I know they were best friends on the show, and this is just genius. I love it. And
she has so much talent. It's incredible.
And I love this because the way she paints Geordi is fantastic, because she mentioned this in the comment that she uses like the red background to really make the blue tones in his skin pop, and the highlights and all that. And it was like, I'm sold. It's brilliant. Loved it. Love it.
Brilliant. That's so cool.
So
much talent, man. and that's one of the things too about the show that I wanted to talk about, is that the people that make the show, it's a lot of creativity and things, but it inspires creativity in so much of the fans. I mean, it's just it's incredible. I mean, with the cosplay, the artwork that the people do, even like the principles behind some of the ideas of Starfleet or the Vulcans. I know this is really, it's a nerdy sort of thing, but the whole idea, it's a satire, but it's a satire about how life can be. So instead of it being this dystopian future that you see so much in any kind of fiction, or any kind of art, it's this idea that if we work together, we can actually make things better. And you see, like at the convention, I thought the convention, I didn't know what it was going to be like when we went to it, and I thought it was going to be like maybe like the original series in season 2, episode 3, 17 seconds in, you can see Captain Kirk, blah blah. I don't know, just this little like really uber nerdy kind of thing. And then if you weren't that way, you wouldn't be welcome. But it was just people just loving to be around other people and just wanting to have fun and wanting people to just, I don't know, it was so relaxing.
Yeah, everybody was so chill and accepting, and it was just awesome. I mean,
people were trying really hard to bring like the 23rd century, whatever, to right now. I mean, just accepting and open, and it was really cool.
Yeah. So, I should say really fast. Laura said Trouble with Tribbles, love it. Brooke's inviting her mom to join the show, so she said she probably won't understand anything we're talking about, but hey, all education, right. The more you know. And then Jeff says, did you watch Picard and how they incorporated Data's painting of Lal, his daughter, into the main narrative?
Yes. That was a good. That's
it's another thing that I noticed about that, because a lot of that show, that's the basis of the show. So, but what's funny when I was looking at all of Data's previous paintings from TNG is there's a painting that he did of a field with like a fence off in the distance and a tree in the foreground on the right and all this sort of stuff, and it's the scene where Picard walks out and sees him painting for the first time. It's literally that scene. I was like, oh my gosh, that's trippy.
That's cool.
So, Nerdville.
that is so cool.
Okay, so this is some other fan art we had kind of in the house. That this is an artist named Juan Ortez. He's from Puerto Rico.
We have this in the house?
Well, so what this is it's these books. I'll hold them up. It's these things right here. They're so big and heavy. You want to go to this? Okay, so what's funny about this is I'm such a nerd and a fan of this that I got these years apart by 2 different people. One was from my niece in California, and one's from my friend Nancy in Colorado.
Oh, my goodness.
And they didn't get me the same one. They got me 2 different ones. It was awesome. Anyway.
People know you.
Yeah. But anyway, this guy, he was bored. I don't know exactly how it started. And he decided, I'm going to do a poster for each episode. So he actually did his first one. Yeah. He wasn't, but his entire collection was at the convention. Yeah. They were hanging up all over the walls, and I was in love with it. And I was like, I really want to get that. And then, then people gifted it to me. So that was awesome. But, anyway, the first one is the original series, and the second one he put out was for TNG episodes. But the first one, which if you go to like the art of it, is it all has like a very retro feel, and it's for each episode. So this is a TNG one. It's Fistful of Datas. And
Shoot, I
look at you messing up the feed
know.
over
I
there.
know.
One more. There you go. And then this is the when he was doing the retro original series style. So
That's
anyway,
cool.
that his name's Juan Ortez, and his collection is just fantastic. So
Man,
look those books up if you really dig, I don't know, graphic arts with your favorite TV shows. I also have a Star Wars one that's all like propaganda inspired, and that one's a trip. That one's awesome.
man, that's funny.
So
That's really cool. I'm sure that you told me that. I mean, I'm out that I probably knew that we had that, but I guess I forgot or something. I didn't realize because
oh yeah.
I remember that exhibit. You going through it and talking about the different um, episodes and the art for it, but I didn't realize we had a book that had them all in it. That's
Oh yeah. So I love that.
gosh,
I,
that's
I,
so
I want
cool.
to say really fast that Gina did share. She was saying that she in quarantine she was like I'm painting again, and I told her to share it. She shared it,
Oh,
and
cool.
it's really beautiful. It's like a painting of silhouetted sparse kind of trees in the foreground, and then it starts with dark blues, and it goes to kind of aqua, and then it goes to like super vibrant pinks with stars splattered in there.
Wow,
It's really beautiful.
sounds beautiful,
So
man. I wonder how we can. I wonder where we can share that. Like, because we can't put it on the live stream right now. Because
if she'd let us, we could share it on your Facebooks.
oh yeah, yeah. And also we have an art page like for people who are creatives. We do drastic
Drastic.
art measures. The page on a group on Facebook where we post that, and we're going to start working a little bit more with that, trying to promote other people's art.
Yeah, we've been yeah. Like it's features a lot of techniques that you've discovered or anybody's discovered that can share, and then what you're working on and
Yeah.
all that sort of answer questions, stuff like that.
Well, that's super awesome. Here, I'm gonna.
Oh, okay, and then you fan art galore. You got your cosplay.
Oh, cosplay! Oh my goodness! You know what? I will say this. In the cosplay is so good.
Oh,
Like
it's
that was
awesome.
one of my favorite parts about being at the conference thing that we went to. It was just that the people behind it were just so incredible. I mean, with the imagination that they would come up.
Well, when we went to the convention, people are so dedicated to this thing that they go every year, but then every day they're there, they have a different cosplay outfit.
Wow.
And so you become really good, close friends with people. And then throughout, like, we'll see on their Facebook feeds, they're like, okay, for day 7, I've got this planned. And next one would be, what do you guys think? And it's like, that is some dedication right there.
Yeah,
That is,
but my favorite thing at the convention too, I have to say, was a Klingon karaoke.
that was the best.
That was good. So if you're a fan of the show, every Klingon in the show, like every major Klingon, like Gowron, all these people, they ran the Klingon karaoke, where you could go and there was so
Well, I mean, what was impressive is some people were again so dedicated, the fans, that they sang the karaoke song in Klingon. It wasn't like just you're dressed as a Klingon singing, Blue Skies in English. You're singing it in Klingon. It was
yeah,
it was hilarious. It
and,
was brilliant.
and you haven't lived until you've heard a Hank Williams song being sung in the original Klingon. It's awesome.
Well, really fast. So, Gina said we can share her painting. She said, share it wherever you like. His
Oh,
paintings
thank you.
got me through a hard transition in my life to nurse, and with the current crisis, it only makes sense that once again art has reconnected us in grounding up.
That is brilliant. Well, yeah, I would love to share that.
Yeah, and Randy joined us as hi, and
Hey, Randy.
Ken says he's watching here and there.
Well,
So
that's awesome. One thing I wanted to say too is today is World Autism Day, and one of the things I really admire about Star Trek is that it's all about what you can do. It's about ability, like LaForge, who was blind. You've got all these different people, all these different cultures throughout the galaxy in the show, but it's just such a wonderful sentiment, really. I think, and And one thing I wanted to say too is like with the artwork we've worked with lots of people who are on the autistic spectrum, and it's just it's one thing you learn is that everybody's a little bit different, but that doesn't mean that somebody is less than anybody
Well, and the
else is.
difference is, and this is true to Star Trek, the difference is, are what makes us special and better and creative, really. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, looking at something in a different way is one of the best traits to have. And
Yeah.
so I
Yeah,
would agree.
yeah. And I would encourage anybody, if you know someone that's on the spectrum, if they're wanting to get more involved in art, if they're wanting to go to galleries and museums, reach out to us. Send us an email. I'm by no means an expert, but we have led lots of workshops and lots of tours, and there's little tips and tricks you can do to make it more fun and a more successful sort of trip.
And
So,
museums are getting a lot better about
mhm,
about that sort of stuff. They've got rooms dedicated to calming down, or all sorts of different things.
that's
So
true. That's true.
you just gotta look into it or email you.
Yeah, and it's just having a little bit of thought beforehand can make a huge bit of difference with it. So that's pretty cool. I mean, there's a few little simple things you can do before you even go to the museum or to the gallery. So if you're wanting to take someone to a gallery,
Yeah.
where galleries don't generally have the funds or whatever to be able to put together like a program, but there's some things that you can do that's really easy.
Yeah.
It makes it more fun.
Yeah. So I should say, what's funny is when we prepared for this show, I in the back of my closet, I have two Star Trek old original series
Oh,
uniforms,
the little dresses.
the little tiny dresses.
What you wanted us both to wear them?
That would have been hilarious. But I'm working on my quarantine 15 here, so
Oh.
I put them on, and that was not going to happen. So it was popping out of it. It was just ridiculous. But I put it on, and I was like, it's one of those things where you're like, gotta go on a diet.
Well, you look great, and well, I'm a huge fan of Star Trek, but it's funny, you try to think of a movie or a series or something, and there's always something that you don't like about it. Like there's something like the first picture, the motion picture, it's like, oh my gosh. So like if you're a fan of it, and you try to recommend something or a movie to someone to get somebody into it. You're like, oh, watch the first one. Oh no, don't watch that.
Yeah.
Don't watch that one. That one has this terrible little spot. And this one, they're getting wells from the past. Never know, so don't watch that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because Jeff commented and said, "When, when can I ask the question on everyone's mind, which is better, Star Trek or Star Wars, and why is it Star Trek?" Because we already know this. He's clearly a Star Trek fan, but Jeff might have tuned in a little later. We are equally fans of both. I like Star Trek better, but I like them both a lot.
I do.
And you made a good point about the differences of them.
Oh yeah, and then I don't know which one I like better, but Star Trek is science fiction. Star Wars is fantasy. So Star Wars is space wizards and all this sort of thing, kind of almost magic with the Force and all these things, and they bring in science to it a little bit, but it's like explosions in space with lots of sound and all these things that aren't scientific. They don't try to make it overly scientific, and there's lots of problems in Star Wars where they'll come up with a scientific explanation and then they'll break it in the very next story or a book or and one of the things about Star Wars that's kind of cool too is that it's kind of bigger in Star Trek in a way for the galaxy, because what's canon for Star Wars is also the comic books. They have video games. They have books that they've been written for decades. So you've got like this huge universe, which most people don't even know about, of like all these little characters and off characters and worlds, and there's thousands of worlds.
And that's funny because that's the different that tends to be the difference of Star Wars and Star Trek fans. The Star Wars canon accepts all of that. Mm-hmm. Whereas Star Trek is like, if it wasn't in an episode or if it wasn't, then it's just fan fiction at that point or something. It's not canon. So that's interesting. I never thought about that.
It's just two different takes. So Star Wars is more like just being free with it. It isn't science fiction. It's not really based on science. It's more of a just more free. It's more wizardy kind of thing, but not wizards, space wizards, and
space wizards.
but but it's kind of like it was based off like the Greek myths and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's mythology in a lot of it. And
I wrote an entire grad paper on why Leia was the only chick in the
oh
movie.
yeah, and then,
Yeah.
and now like with the Force Awakens,
I know.
you've
I
got-
was
you
so excited to see that. But
But it's sort of the same thing though too, where you've got I can't think of her name right now. The main character in
Ray?
Ray.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ray's got the main girl, and then. But then in Star Trek, everything is based around science. It's like some sort of, and even though a lot of that's fantasy, it's fantastic ideas. It's generally there's a scientific principle that some scientists has come up with, and they think, well, what would this principle be like in 300 years? What if like the work principles and stuff? There's physicists now that are saying, well, that's possible, but it would have to be like this, or we'd have to have the power of the sun.
Yeah. We were talking about that the other day about the technology of warp drive. That's how geeky we are.
Yeah. It's but it's fun though. It just it's sort of a positive kind of outlook. I don't know.
Yeah. So Mike joined us. He says, "Great job tonight." He had 150 viewers across 3 watch parties. What's up, parties?
Well, hey,
what's up? He asked how much longer we're gonna be on. Which, if it was up to us, we could probably talk about Star Trek or science fiction or any of that for hours. But until the numbers start dropping off, I don't know. And Jeff agreed with you. He said that you hit the nail on the head with the fantasy comment.
But and that doesn't mean it's bad. It's not bad like saying Star Trek's not. I mean, Star Wars isn't like science fiction.
Yeah.
It's it's I don't know. It's.
I mean, I think it makes perfect sense. I mean, that might be why some people are drawn to one versus the other. So.
Yeah, but when you try to compare them, it's almost like apples and oranges. I mean, both of them have the word star in it, and both of them are in space. And they have spaceships and all these different things. But it's like Buck Rogers and comparing that to the right stuff or sort of stuff. I don't know.
Yeah,
probably not quite that. But yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because last night we were watching, we're desperately like searching for things to watch now that we're just stuck inside.
We're running out of stuff.
Oh my gosh. So we finished Rebels on Disney Channel and which is fantastic. I mean, even, if you look at those things and you're like, it's cartoony, I don't know, or the CGI or whatever, those are brilliant shows, like Clone Wars, all that's brilliant. Sure. But anyway, so when we started Resistance, but we started on this like 20-minute conversation as to like why you didn't like in Discovery the how they would travel through, the fungi and all that fun stuff and the what do you call that, the
fungi, the mycelial
that's
network.
I wasn't even going to try that word.
Yeah, that's fantasy. That should be in Star Wars somewhere.
I don't know though. See, and I disagreed. I mean, I know that Discovery for some people wasn't their cup of tea. I liked it, but
I liked it too.
But I know
things.
Initially people would be like, "What? That's absurd! The network of mushroom, this, whatever." But I watched some theories on it, and the guy that kind of inspired it, and I thought it was interesting because if you think about how the Earth is and how things are underground and trees miles apart will share nutrients with each other. So there's this whole network underground, usually fed by, fungi.
Yeah.
And in theory, if you just, had this version in space, you could travel through it. Right?
Yeah. I mean, like, and the idea is that it was in a different dimension and all this sort of stuff. And
I'm going to go with yes.
There was one scientist that came up with the idea, and that's why they were running with it, because it's Star Trek and you're supposed to have a scientific principle, but I don't know. And what I didn't like about it, and we're kind of getting away from it being art and everything, but this is
what happens.
But while they were in this other space, the entire Klingon War happened with the Federation, which is like, it'd be so amazing if they showed that.
Oh, that's true.
Oh no, we were in the next room, we missed it. We came back and it's all like you missed the entire most amazing thing that could have been. And
which
we were just tripping on mushrooms while this was going on.
No joke. Well, I'm actually kind of curious if there's other Trek fans, Jeff, out there, and how were they upset that there wasn't more emphasis on the Klingon War in Discovery? And maybe, I mean, there's talk of having the Pike might have a spinoff, and 7 of 9 might have but anyway, the Pike spinoff might touch on the Klingon War. I mean, that would be interesting. That'd be cool.
And to be honest, I mean, Discovery's only had 2 seasons. And even that is less than 1 season of like Next Gen or something.
That's true.
It's only 20 episodes.
That's true.
And if you go and check like your first season of any show that you might like Seinfeld, whatever, the first season, Friends, it's a bit awkward. It's a little different, like it takes a little while to get the footing. And I think, but every season that they've done it, the first 2, it's exponentially better. So I think the third one's going to be really, really cool. And then because they're hearing what people are saying and they're making adjustments, and it's just pretty cool.
Yeah. So Shima joined us and says,
"Hey, Shima!
Hi, lovelies! Yay!" And then Jeff said, also, I think a lot to do with it is if you prefer weekly episodic television or epic movies. And
what you were talking
oh my
about.
gosh, man, OMG, this is my big complaint about Star Trek, or really any show now, is that I have to be so invested in the entire season. The beauty of Star Trek for me is that you can just it doesn't matter where in the season or whatever.
Yeah.
You can just flip it on and be like, I'm gonna watch this episode, and it's like a crime or like a mystery show. It solves itself in one episode. You don't have to invest in an entire season, and so that's
Spock agrees.
So that's what I miss about Star Trek, and I don't know if it's just the industry now. I mean, because everything is that way. It's serial, it's like the whole thing. So, I mean, and maybe that has something to do with Star Wars and Star Trek fans, but I really wish maybe with like the Pike series, if they come out with it, I mean, it would be awesome if that would just concentrate on like weekly sort of like, we get into this scuffle and we got to solve it and then we're out, and then the next one. I mean, come on, man. It's too much to invest.
Come on, Star Trek. Make this lady happy. It'd be so easy. Just episodes.
Jeff says Pike is confirmed, so that's awesome.
Nice. Cool. Pike, I have to admit, and I know like we're supposed to be talking about art, but I knew this would happen because we're huge geeks and whatnot, and but Pike is a really cool captain. I mean,
he's awesome.
I mean, if there's any reason to watch Discovery, like it's to see like the development of this captain and come on, and in the second season, he's like pure Starfleet, like good captain. He doesn't have to be he doesn't have to be the center of attention all the time. He'll let other people, whatever works for the role.
He's got some sweet hair.
Does he?
Yeah. He's a good looking guy.
Is he rocking this?
Yes.
I think I got paint in my hair. I think I have fun boy hair now. Not fun boy, big boy. What's a fun boy? Ooh, fun boy.
Jeff said he liked a Romulan War emphasis.
Ooh,
that'd be interesting. And well, you know what? We might see that in Picard. I don't know what's going on there.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And then he says Enterprise was supposed to conclude with the Klingon War, but it got poop canned.
That's too bad. You know what killed Enterprise? The music.
Oh yeah. Gosh, that's bad art right there.
Dun, dun,
well, I shouldn't say that.
Guitar, we're in space.
I shouldn't say it's bad art because there's no such thing. But it was questionable.
It's questionable.
Questionable decision.
But then Picard's theme is a little bit different too. But it works. It's not. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because
I thought when I heard that on Picard, I thought
you're like, no,
you're really treading on that whole guitar thing that got Enterprise.
Well, in the Picard thing, if you listen to like the first part of the music, it's the flute that he played in the Inner Light episode.
She's a nerd.
So and then the rest of the sequence of music is I watched a video about it. So it's supposed to represent him being a different person as an aged admiral and coming into his own as anyway. So yeah. Jeff agrees. The Enterprise intro is awful. So yeah.
I love to hear you talk like that.
Oh, and then he said he likes that the lead ever isn't a captain. Which yes, I agree too. I thought that was pretty good too.
Oh, that what? I'm sorry.
That Michael Burnham, the main character, isn't a captain. It was from like the the second in charge perspective. So.
Yeah, that was cool. That was really cool.
So what else are you going to do on that painting? We're getting
getting off the art thing, aren't we?
We're getting to a point where we're just like talking about random things and
Well, on the painting, I'm putting a lot of music into the background.
Yeah.
So I've been listening to a lot of jazz and discordant sort of jazz. So like which I'm sure you've been hearing. It's all that
Yeah.
and then also 1930s hard jazz, which actually our 12-year-old son he started listening to it, so he got me into that a little bit. Which I mean I liked it before, but I haven't heard it in so long, so that's been cool.
You should scoot it to the right and back it up a little bit. It's because I think when you bumped the camera, it went a little wacky.
Oh, is it? Gosh, this easel. Oh yeah, I should say this is a 3 foot by 3 foot painting.
You're going to the other.
Oh,
there you
okay,
go.
Right.
There you go. There you go. Perfect.
My other right.
Perfect.
So, but what I'm trying to do there though is that it's going to be
cosplay.
Yeah, it's going to be cosplay. I'm going to give her fringy ears. No, is that I'm using the jazz in the colors for that this discordant sort of rhythms to be able to get this chaos kind of going in the background. And then what I'm going to do after that is go back over that and actually paint in some hair and do different things. I'm probably going to pick a song. I'm not sure what it's going to be, but I'm going to use that song for the colors. And that'll be the main strands of hair. And then I'm going to darken some areas. So a lot of this is blue right now. But I'm going to go back in, and I did that because I want some areas to stay light. I want some areas to go black. I usually draw in black. But along where the hair and stuff is, I want to lighten that out. The guitar, I'm not sure what color I'm going to put yet. But I don't know.
It's going to be cool. I really loved seeing that when I walked into the studio yesterday.
Oh, well,
after you
thank you. That's
going to
awesome.
Be a good one.
Oh man, I appreciate that, sweetie. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's one thing, with the virus and all that going on right now. It's been a challenge for a lot of people. We were talking to some friends that moved to Ireland, and we were talking to them this afternoon, and they're doing great. And everybody that we talk to, everybody seems to be doing well. There's so many people out there that are helping other people, and also helping people by not getting around people. Like I'm really happy
that's brilliant. Awesome. Stay home.
Yeah, and we're all in this together, and and it's hard, but I've been for us it's been really nice. I mean, in that we were already homeschooling Jack before this started, and the work that we do, I go through periods where I'll work on lots and lots of commissions, and then we do lots and lots of shows, and it was put where we were supposed to be doing shows all the way from March all the way almost until June without almost no days off.
Almost every weekend was booked with a show.
Yeah, every weekend and every day it was booked with me working in the studio or traveling or doing something. So there was no days off, and now suddenly we were in the car going to a TED Talk that we're going to get, and the time that took us to get in the car to drive there, it was canceled, and then on the way back, everything else started canceling like dominoes, and so you went from not having time to do anything to all this time, and so it's a blessing in some ways. I know it's stressful, but it's a lot more fun though whenever you get to be around people that you enjoy their company, and that's one big reason why we're doing more live shows. We're trying to do at least 2 a week because we really enjoy hanging out with you guys, and we love inflicting our presence on you. So
right, we're not narcissistic at all.
I think I hear the boy. Is that you, buddy?
Well,
or did Echo learn to turn the knob?
Well, Brooke said, I just invited friends that want to talk about Trek, and then Jeff said the painting looks great. And then Brooke's Brooke bought tickets to see our friends in Ireland, and she's trying to cancel them now because I think they're in May. And that ain't a good idea.
Is she trying to cancel them for sure?
She said she's trying to. So good luck.
Good luck, Brooke. We were talking to them this afternoon about that, and they're on lockdown too, in the whole world.
Yeah, it's funny because I looked at plane tickets now because everything is just crazy, and it was like $75 for a ticket round trip to Colorado, which is normally like $250. Or
it probably costs more in gas to drive there, almost, or about as much.
Well, yeah.
Well, if you factor in all the Red Bull that you would need to drink to get there, it's much cheaper. But you know what's kind of interesting with the whole Star Trek and art, and then the world with this virus and stuff, is that one of the things that is so interesting about Star Trek is art is that it's looking at a future where there's no money. Like the whole world is like its own thing. So it's like one world, one like the countries and things don't matter as much. And it's funny with the virus. It seems like everybody has kind of gotten into the point where all the countries are reacting the same. I mean, we're all separated. I mean, it's different, but
it's funny that you mentioned that because when I was looking up different things about the Enterprise, the call letters on the Enterprise, the NCC 1701,
mm-hmm.
the reason why it was like that is because when Matt Jeffries was designing it, he was told, well, the understanding was like when the human race is like can eventually go to space, that no one country is going to be able to afford it. So in that timeline, all the countries are going to come together. So the NC was like the United States National Commercial, I forget what it stood for, and at the same time Russia was doing a lot of space things, and their call letters were like CCCC, so they combined them to NCC. And then the 1701, which isn't as interesting, is just because they were easily recognizable on the model, as opposed to like 6, 8, and 9. Those are hard to differentiate. So he just did 1701, and people seem to think it's like the number that came off of his ship, like, well, not his ship, I'm sorry, his airplane that he flew in World War II, but it wasn't. It's just easily recognizable numbers.
That's interesting how much things have changed. Where it was kind of the idea where, Jack, one sec, sweetheart, and where the idea where just one country by itself couldn't afford to go to space, and then but nobody told Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk.
That's right. That's right. Well, they seem to think that they can do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna sell books, and that's gonna take us to space.
That's gonna take us. It might. Who knows?
I know. Well,
who knows?
Gosh. In the which movie? There was a science fiction movie probably from the 80s or 90s where it was like Planet Starbucks and different. It was corporations that owned the different planets because they were the ones that went out and got the asteroids. And at the time, it was like, that's funny.
It wasn't Idiocracy, was it?
I don't know.
I
honestly can't remember, but I was thinking about that the other day because, it's funny how so often science fiction will predict the future. Like you see in Star Trek where the cell phones and
science fiction or Simpsons. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Like, the idea like in Star Trek, they'd walk through a door and, and then people are like, that's fancy. And then now every supermarket,
you don't have to touch
the cell phones and the little.
Brilliant.
I still miss not having a flip phone in a way, just because it was so much like Star Trek, or where you yes, but where the smartphones are great, but the little flip phones are so.
I know
it's so rewarding just to hit that little click, and then you just
until you flip it too hard and it just breaks eventually.
Well, and then if you want to hang up on somebody, you can just you can really close it.
Yeah, I mean the pushing, it's not the same.
Yeah, you're like. I say good day, sir.
So Mike chimed in and he said, "Is there a sax in the picture you're painting?" So he might not have seen when you went.
So here.
Do you want to show the painting one more time and explain it?
Yeah. Sorry, so sorry. Yeah, this is going to be electric guitar, and I took some different guitars as sort of inspiration for it. So it's not necessarily a particular one. I kind of messed things around, and I moved some things from the left side to the right side and all. But I did that. In part because I heard the story about Jimi Hendrix, who was a left-handed guitar player, but when he was first learning how to play, he couldn't afford to buy a special guitar for him, like a lefty. So he strung the strings backwards.
Oh wow!
And that in part gave him a different sound because where the big strings were, and the little strings were, like the pickups are in a certain spot to be able to pick that up. So whenever he would play it. The pickups that were for the big strings were actually picking up the little strings.
Huh.
And it gave the guitar a different sound.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so I thought, well, if he can mess things around with a guitar, I can mess things around too. So I started doing that. So it's going to be this guitar, the lady's face over here, and her face is going to be a lot better. Like I don't know if you can see her chin. You feel these lines here? Oh, paint. Oops, sorry. All this is going to be modeled out a little bit better. I'm putting some light purples and pinks. Right now, there's going to be a lot of yellow, a little bit of burnt sienna, and some different things going in there. The hair and then down here. Right now, it's just chaos. But after a while, like whenever I get this all blocked in, I'm going to have some black lines and white lines and some solid color going in there as well. Lots of transparent colors. And I was wondering about using resin, but I don't think I'm going to do that on this. I might.
I love resin, but I don't know.
It's 9 square feet, and that would be so heavy.
Or you could just do resin one part of it.
Yeah.
You could just resin the guitar. I don't know.
I was wondering about that, but I'm doing the same effect. Whenever I paint with resin, I'll color the resin, and then I'll let it merge.
Oh, that's true.
And do this. So I'm getting the same sort of effect by mixing. Here, let me show you guys. I use different. Ow! Sorry, I rolled over my foot. How do you even do that? Let me put this up. So I use different mediums. So this is a high flow medium for acrylic. So it makes it feel almost like a satiny sort of liquid. So I'm using that in here. I also use I get artist inks and artist pigments. Like on this one, this is the wrong one. That's the wrong shit bottle. It's over there. That's why. Anyway, I'll take these ink bottles and I'll actually fill them up with that medium, other mediums, and I'll shake them and I'll fill them up, or I'll just use them the way they are. So, which is nice. Which is an art tip, guys. By the way, you can actually get these different high flow paints. You can get them like that. You can get them like in little bottles. They come in lots of different things, but they're highly pigmented. Some of them are a little bit transparent, so you can still see through them. You can take them, you can mix them in with your other paint. So a lot of times, I'll take this. It's a lemon yellow, so I'll take this and I'll mix a lemon yellow of the other just to add more pigment to it.
Yeah.
Because people often say, well, how do you get such bright colors? I make them brighter. I mix different pigments.
I make them that way.
Yeah. So if you don't like what it is, you can change it. And also you can get brighter colors by using semi-transparent colors and doing layers. So
fancy.
Ta-da!
Such a nerd. Well, okay. So there was just a few comments, but Jeff says the NCC on fan fiction is New Celestial Class.
Ooh.
And then he said, "Don't tell Brooke I know that," which she knows. She knows you're a geek. It's cool. And then Brooke said, "I was curious about what you thought about the Klingon writing." So, I think the Klingon writing is pretty awesome.
Is that going to be your next tattoo?
Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? I don't think I would do, although it's beautiful, I don't think I would do the Vulcan script. Just it's so done. But it would be fun to get like Klingon, like it's a good day to die or something crazy, I don't know.
Wow.
Some sort of crazy blood of your enemies quote.
Yeah. Hear the lamentations of the women. Love that.
I could see myself doing something more like that than live long and prosper down my back, which is very popular. So won't do that.
I don't have any tattoos.
Yet.
Yeah. On the next trip to Vegas, I'll wake up in the hotel room with a face tattoo.
You never know. You get a Chakotay little, tribal. Come on. It's the ultimate cosplay.
Let me ask Spock. What do you think, buddy?
Okay. Well, he's indifferent. I'm pretty sure that's indifferent.
He's confused.
He's like, fascinating.
Oh my goodness. Well, I wonder if we ought to end it here on it, and because I can't thank you guys enough for tuning in, and we've been having a blast hanging out with you guys doing these live shows, and we're going to keep doing them at least two a week for the foreseeable future. I mean, you guys are trapped in your house. We're trapped in our house. Well, might as well reach out and but. Live long and prosper, everyone.
Live long and prosper.
Again,
yes. Thank you for tuning in. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, all that fun stuff, and don't touch each other.
Yeah, and if you know someone that has autism, be sure and wish them a wonderful day.
Yes, and if you have any questions, shoot us an email about anything. Or if there's like a topic you want us to cover.
Yeah.
Like another Star Trek episode.
Yeah. So if you didn't enjoy the Star Trek episode, send us other topics.
Or we're going to keep doing
Yeah, because you see where our brains go to.
Anyway.
Well, thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Boldly go. We'll see you next time.